the true meaning of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And what we're going to be talking about today is a psychological and physiological regeneration, and not so much about an actual man being pinned to a cross. Am I saying that happened? It didn't happen? Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't there. I mean, but we're going to talk about the physiological part of it. All right. So let me make my screen small, make this other screen big. Oh, they no longer allow me to do that. All right, y'all. I guess I gotta buy the actual software to get this to be bigger. So y'all gonna have to forgive. Sorry about that, y'all. I got a train that's running through my backyard. But man, y'all gonna have to forgive me. I didn't know that they did this with the subscription. So now my pictures are gonna be way smaller than what I thought they were gonna be. But either way, we're gonna continue. Um, and if at any point you guys need to look up the pictures to something, you know what I'm saying? I'll just give you guys the name of it and you can look it up. Yeah, because I see that that's really small. It's not really that big. So I'm gonna do the best I can with what I got. And actually, I'll just look into the software, like. But because yeah, there's a such thing called business credit. So like, I'm looking into like how to kind of group everything I'm doing as far as the internet kind of under one thing. You know, register as an LLC and just go ahead and get some business credit for that, do taxes and all of that. I mean, then I got my fence business that I already got all of that set up, pretty much working on building up that. But anyway, so let's get into it. Let's start from the top. So we're gonna start from the cerebrum. So in case you don't know what the cerebrum is, you can look it up. The cerebrum. Sorry, y'all. Let me get my pictures back up. Oh man, I got way too many. Hold on, y'all. Let me get some of these windows down. Hang in there with me, y'all. Gotta take some of these windows down. Got way too many windows up. So, right. So we're gonna start with the cerebrum. Let me get you guys a picture. I try to get pictures of everything to make it easier. So this is basically the cerebrum right here. This is the cerebrum. It's like the top part of the brain, basically, right? So the cerebrum, it's the principal and most anterior part of the brain in vertebrates and is located in the front area of the skull. It consists of two hemispheres, the left and the right, separated by a fissure, and it is responsible for the integration of complex sensory and neural functions in the initiation and coordination of voluntary activity in the body. So basically, inside of the cerebrum is the colostrum. And let me get my picture of the colostrum up. So you guys, so this is the colostrum right here. Basically, that those tissues right there in the middle. It almost looks like a river flowing downward. I mean, it looks like a river flowing downward. So that right there, that is the colostrum, right? And its secretion comes from the colostrum, also known as brain fluid or CSF, cerebral spinal fluid. And let me get y'all a picture of the cerebral spinal fluid's path. so you guys can follow along. Right. So here's the path of the cerebral spinal fluid. So, so the cerebral spinal fluid is a clear, colorless body fluid found within the tissue that surrounds the brain and spinal cord of all the vertebrae. Replaces the body fluid found outside of the cells of all bilateral animals. So this fluid is referred to as an oil or the Christos by the ancient Greeks. The word Christos comes from the Greek name, and it is derived from an earlier word meaning anointed, and it became the Christian theological term for the Messiah. So that word anoint, the word anoint means to smear or to rub over with oil or any oily liquid. It means to apply oil to as a sign of consecration or sanctification in a sacred rite. So what I'm talking about is basically Christ and his crucifixion having to do with Christ being that oil or that germ seed, and we're talking about the dissension of this Christ after being differentiated in the pituitary and pineal glands. Um, Down into the solar plexus, then further down into the sacrum, and then back up through the solar plexus, through the throat chakra, the heart chakra, and back up into the cerebellum, where it dies for 3 days. Um, I'm sorry, back up into the cerebral cortex, where it dies for 3 days. No, I'm sorry, not the cerebral cortex. The oh gosh, forgive me, I got terms all around my head. Back up into the egg shape, the gosh, I can't believe I forgot the name of this thing. Um, the optic thalamus. Sorry, y'all. The optic thalamus, where it dies for 3 days and then it's reborn a thousandfold. So that's what we're talking about. Um, I don't think I explained that in the beginning, but basically, this is the real meaning of Christ and his crucifixion. So let me just continue. So right, so that word anoint means to smear or to rub over with oil or any oily liquid, means to apply oil as a sign of consecration or sanctification in a sacred rite. So the CSF is secreted by the CPs located within the ventricles of the brain, with the two lateral ventricles being the primary producers. The CSF flows throughout the ventricular system unidirectionally in a rostral to caudal manner from the cerebrum. So the CSF flows over the surface of the brain and down the length of the spinal cord, while the subarachnoid space with while in the subarachnoid space, it leaves the subarachnoid space through the arachnoid villi found along the superior sagittal venous sinus, uh, intracranial venous sinuses, and around the roots of the spinal nerves. The CSF flows down the spinal cord. So the CSF, after it flows down the spinal cord, it flows into the sacral plexus. And that is a nerve plexus that provides our motor and sensory nerves for the posterior thigh, most of the lower leg, the entire foot, and part of the pelvis. Um, the sacral plexus is derived from the anterior rami of the spinal nerves L4, L5, S1, S2, S3, and S4. Um, Let me get y'all a picture up of the sacral plexus. Forgive me, y'all. I got a lot of pictures here. Right, and that's the picture I was looking for. That's that egg shape right there. That's the optic thalamus. It's like an egg shape right in the middle. You can see it here too. Eye of Horus. Um, right. So right here, this is a picture of the um, the sacral plexus. Gosh, let me see if I can make that a little. Yeah. But I know you guys can't really still see it like that. So just look up the sacral plexus, and you'll be able to follow along. So and then right next door to the sacral plexus is the sacrum. So, in some, the MRI data has supported the concept of causal circulation of the CSF in the spine to sites of lymphatic outflow in the sacral region. So they're telling you that there is outflow of CSF in the sacral region. This leads to tracer accumulation and intervertebrate regions in the sacral spine, where outflow of CSF occurs through the lymphatic vessels. So in the sacrum are basically the five second bottom most fused vertebrae, and they're at the bottom of the spinal column. Those five vertebrae are the cervical spine, the seven vertebrae, the thoracic spine, the 12 vertebrae, and the lumbar spine. Those are the five vertebrae that make up the sacral spine, or the five fused vertebrae. And that looks like, get y'all another picture up of that. That looks like that. You see those, see if I can blow that up. Those five vertebrae. This is the entire body of the sacral. So, and that's the bottom, and the bottommost vertebrae is called the coccyx. That's basically the one at the very bottom. Basically like your tailbone. That's this one right here, the coccyx. So, right, and the coccyx, commonly referred to as the tailbone, is the final segment of the vertebrae column in all apes and analogous structures in certain other mammals, such as horses. So, right above uh, those five fused bones is the sacral plexus, and that's connected to the sacrum. And that's basically the last stop for the CSF fluid that's going down. So this fluid is known as the secret oil or the holy oil, and that word secret comes from secretion. When you go on dictionary.com and you look up the word secret, it means concealed, and then you'll see right under that the word origin for secret. It comes from Old French, or the Latin word secretus, meaning concealed, from cern, which means to sift, and it tells us to see the word Secern, Secern, or Secern. I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but so that word Secern, if you look it up, Secern, and you look up the verb form of it, it is of a gland or a follicle, and it means to secrete. So under the word secret is Secern, and under that word is secrete. Um, and so the sacrum represents that sacred path of this secret. So the spinal cord, which is just an extension of the brain, meaning you could even say that the spine has a mind of its own. You know, the brainstem connects the brain with the spinal cord. It controls hunger and thirst, and some of the most basic body functions, such as body temperature, blood pressure, and breathing. The brain is protected by the bones of the skull and by the covering of three thin membranes called meninges. So this is where we get the story of the colostrum, or Santa Claus. So Santa Claus delivers presents down the spinal column, or the chimney, into the home, or the sacrum. And it's a physiological story with the Bible being a story of physiological regeneration. So what happens is every month when the moon is in the sign where your sun was when you were born, this germ or the seed is planted in the solar plexus. So the solar plexus chakra, as known in sacred geometry as the Genesis pattern. So the solar plexus is associated with the seed of life. It empowers our vitality, courage, and joy. The seed of life consists of 7 interlocking circles. The seventh circle is the central one, often associated with the sun as the central force within our solar system. This matrix, also known as the Genesis pattern, inspired the story of the 6 days of the creation and the story for rest. So this get y'all a picture of it. It's basically sacred geometry. Um, is the relation of the solar plexus being a seat for a seed. Oh, and I can't find it. I don't know what I did with it, y'all. All right, but it's basically like a circle with 7 circles interlocking it. I don't have it. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is the solar plexus. This is where that seed is. You can see the seed literally like right there inside of the middle of the solar plexus. That's where that seed is born. Um, right. And that's considered sacred geometry. So we kind of jumped to a different science, but trying to do the best to make these relations like look the same. So this place is located just above the sacral plexus. So the germ is the oil of the Christ that is born in Bethlehem. So let me show you another another chart that shows this process going on. It's not really a chart, it's like a picture. Oh, and by the way, all of these pictures that I'm using are not mine. You can find them off of different sites on Google. So like I don't own the rights to any of these pictures. All right, so basically this is the path that CSF is taking. Like simply put, I can find y'all a better picture of that, and I'll leave that up so you guys can examine it. This picture is also definitely not mine. This comes from the Universal Truth School. I believe this was founded by Santos Bonacci. I don't have no connection to him. I mean, not that like I wouldn't want one. I just don't, I don't want to take credit for something that's not mine. It's not my picture. It's their picture, and you can see the whole process right here. One, the pineal gland. Joseph secretes the milk. The pituitary gland. Mary secretes the honey, both from the same source, or the colostrum, or Santa Claus. Two, the sacred oil travels down into the solar plexus. Let me make sure I still got this picture up, y'all. Okay. That's as big as I can make it, but you can find this picture just by typing in the Christ seed oil into Google and then go into the pictures, and you can find the same picture. So let me just start again from the top. One, the pineal gland, or Joseph secretes the milk. The pituitary, Mary secretes the honey, both from the same source, or the colostrum. Two, the sacred oil travels down into the solar plexus via the semilunar ganglion pneumogastric nerve, also known as the tree of life. Number three, the physical germ, the fruit of the tree of life, is born in the solar plexus or in the manger, or the Midgard. Talk about that in the end. In Norse mythology, you got Asgard, which is the top, like the brain. You got Midgard, which is around here, the solar plexus, and then you got Niflheim, Nifel, which is pretty much like hell or Sheol, or like the bottom area. The psychophysical germ, the fruit of the tree of life, is born in the solar plexus. And then four, the Ida, or the red, and the Pingala, the blue. These are the Ida and the Pingala represent like the Kundalini and the Kuna buffer. They represent the two intertwining serpents that and energies that go from the bottom to the top of the spinal cord. The two nerve fluids were at the crossing of the medulla oblongata. The crucifixion takes place where it rests for 2.5 days. That's right down there at the bottom. And then it rises up. And then in the sacred oil returns after the crossing, the crucifixion. It enters the cerebellum or Golgotha or the place of the skull. And the fluid of the Christ is refined 1,000-fold. So I just kind of walked y'all through the whole thing, but we'll continue. So, like I said, the solar plexus is called Bethlehem. Bethlehem. Let me get y'all another picture. This kind of points out Bethlehem, and and you know what? I don't have this in here, but these are called oh man, uh sorry y'all, they're called laminins, right? And as you can see, the laminin looks like a cross. So that idea of Christ being holding everything together, that's pretty much what laminin does. So it's thought that the Christ, the cross, represents also this laminin, which is holding everything together. But you guys can look that one up on your own. I didn't include that in here. Um, so yeah, and these are other pictures of a laminin right here, as you can see the different crosses that it looks like, but all of them don't look like crosses. So like, it was hard for me to conclude this, but this one did. Like when they broke it down to examine it, it looks like a cross. But anyway, I was gonna get y'all that other picture. That's what I had. So the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem, or in the solar plexus, the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. Um, Joseph and Mary, the parents of the spiritual son, daughter, born in the solar plexus in every child at about the age of 12. So this is something that happens pretty much around puberty. That seed is born there. And it's interesting because Jesus left home at 12 years old. I mean, which pretty much means he had that seed. Um, anyway, let's continue. So the seed needs to return to the midbrain. So the oil begins its ascension back up the spinal cord. The vibration of the oil increases. And oils do have vibrations. These next oils I'm going to talk about are external oils, but I just thought it was good to mention that essential oils derived from pure plant sources do carry the highest vibrations of any organic substances on the planet. They start at 52 megahertz and they go all the way up to 320 megahertz. Rose pretty much being at the top with 320 megahertz. And just for example, here are a few oils and their frequencies. You got rose at 320 megahertz, frankincense at 147 megahertz, sandalwood and juniper at 98 megahertz, and peppermint at 78 megahertz, basil at 52 megahertz, and lavender at 118 megahertz. But before this ascension, before this whole process happens, the oil is differentiated in the pineal and the pituitary gland. So that sacred oil from the colostrum is differentiated into electric and magnetic portions by the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, respectively. So the pineal gland is considered to be the masculine. The pineal body is our masculine or spiritual organ. The pineal gland is associated with the solar of the yang energy. The pituitary gland is considered to be feminine. The pituitary body is our feminine or spiritual organ. So the pituitary gland is associated with the lunar or the yin energy. So the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are also known as Joseph and Mary, respectively, the ones who are responsible for sending the Christ seed on its journey, also the ones who will await the return of their son, who is given birth in the solar plexus. So it is said that the pineal gland secretes honey and the pituitary gland secretes milk. This parallels the biochemical understanding that the pineal gland secretes DMT and that the pituitary gland secretes serotonin. So, incidentally, the word secret is derived from the word secretion, as I showed y'all before. The electric portion differential by the pineal gland is also referred to as Joseph, the father of the Holy Child. The magnetic portion differentiated by the pituitary gland is also referred to as Mary, or the mother of the Holy Child. So the pineal gland uh, uh, shape resembles a pine cone. This name of the pineal gland is derived from the Latin pinea, meaning a pine cone. In phylogenetics, pine trees are in the genus Pinus, one of the most ancient genera of terrestrial plants on Earth. So the Ida and the Pingala, is a nerve channel on the left side of the sushumna, in which the vital air passes through. Also, the left nostril. The Ida corresponds to the tamasic quality of nature, or the cool white lunar moon flow. And the Pangala is yellow or sunlight, also solar red. And it's a nerve channel on the right side of the sushumna, in which the vital air passes through. Also, the right nostril, it corresponds to the rajasic quality of nature. So, I just want to show a picture of those two energies, just so you can get a visual um, of what I'm talking about. Just make it easier to understand. It's basically just real easy to understand. It's the two energies that are like snake-like, going up the spinal cord, similar to what you see in the medical field with the spinal cord, or that rod, or that staff that Moses had with the two snakes um, rising up to the top. That's basically your spinal cord. So you got right here the sushma, the rod, and you have the two energies, the Ida and the Pingala or Pinjala. I believe that's an Indian word, Sanskrit, Pinjala and Ida. Um, as you can see, swerving, swerving up the top. So those are also referred to as the Kundalini, and that's a Sanskrit word meaning coil, and it refers to a specified type of meditation that is believed to have the ability to fully awaken your potential of awareness. And then the Kunda buffer. Um, it's basically like you returning to what you already know. It's basically putting you back in the routine of mental focus. It's kind of like the part of you that keeps you in the matrix, I guess, or keeps you grounded. Yeah, I mean, but it's also some people see it as a downward spiraling snake, or one who's actually going descending, or I guess they some call it going down uh the wrong way. But I don't know. It's hard for me to see that as the wrong way, because I feel like sometimes we need to descend down into the lower realms for whatever we need to go down there for. And then we need to come back up. So I don't necessarily see it as bad or good. I just see it as a way of going. But I'll do some more research. I'll ask spirit, just kind of confirm that. But I don't really see good or bad in any of this stuff. It's just, what is it? What is it used for? Because like, even for instance, in the Bible, they refer to the lower realms, or they refer to the world as like Egypt. They refer to it as Sodom and Gomorrah. They refer to all the lower things as like bad, but it's like the lower chakras are pretty much what keep you grounded. They will keep you here. You need your lower chakras. The only thing is, you don't want to get stuck in them. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get stuck in them. You do want to rise and go into those higher chakras and have all your chakras balanced as much as possible. I don't think a complete balance, 100% balance is actually able to be done 100% of the time. Just like a seesaw can't stay balanced 100% of the time. That gets work. Um, So let me show y'all pictures of the Kundalini and the Kunda buffer. So, um, I feel like I'm going through these pictures again. All right, so this is a picture of the Kundalini. You can see the energy of the snake rising upward, hitting all the chakras. You can see the chakras right there in the middle, different colors, and up to the crown. And then you have the Kunda buffer right here. You see the same chakras. You see the same snake, but as you can see, the snake is going down. It's going down. I've seen some places consider that as bad, and I've seen other places just consider that as what it is. It's a buffer. Um, so I mean, you take it how you want. So so basically, the Christ oil or the sacred secretion travels towards the sacrum via the solar plexus. The solar plexus is where the Christ seed is born. This is known biblically as Bethlehem or the house of breads. The Christ oil or sacred secretion enters the solar plexus where it combines with the Holy Spirit or essay, or that if you look at the beginning of that word, ease, ESSE is the beginning of the word Essene. The Essenes were a sect of Christians who pretty much followed the laws of the land. Like, let me, you know what? Let me get y'all correct definition for the word Essene. It was a member of an ancient Jewish ascetic sect in the second century BC, second century AD in Palestine, who lived in highly organized group and held property in common. Their Essenes were widely regarded as the authors of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that's a um, very surface um, explanation. Like that, it goes a lot deeper than that. So you guys can do some research more. It's just I just noticed that the EESSE. So anyway, and then also known as source energy or luminiferous ether or prana, and that is how the seed is produced or born. So getting the Christ oil seed to the sacral pump without diminishing it. It's important to know that the Christ seed or secretion can be compromised, it can be damaged, or it can be dissipated if we don't preserve it. So it arrives at the solar plexus, awaiting the germination of the seed. This germination happens when the moon is in your sun sign once a month, 12 times in a year. So like easy way to track this um, is you can go to a site called moontracks.com. I'll put it in here, and you can look up the lunar ingress, and basically it'll show you 3 months of the moon ingressing through your sun sign. And and when the moon is in your sun sign, in that month, that seed is germinating, and you can begin to raise the seed. So the Christ oil then rises to the throat, more specifically the vagus nerve, also referred to as the tree of life, which is also known as the pneumovagus and the pneumogastric nerve. Here, the Christ oil is crucified and put to death. But if we resist our lower desires or our carnal urges for those 2.2.5 days that the moon stays in our sun sign, then the oil will be refined, transmuted, and resurrected on the third day. So this is when enlightenment, illumination, and increase will engulf our being, and you'll have vision, power, insight. So the vagus nerve, historically cited as the pneumogastric nerve, is the 10th cranial nerve, or the CNX, and interfaces with the parasympathetic control of the heart, the lungs, the digestive tract. The vagus nerves are normally referred to in singular. And let me just get y'all a picture of this vagus nerve um, and looks very similar to a tree of life, especially in this a tree, especially in this depiction of it. Make sure my volume is up. I don't know why I feel like volume is down. Oh, it's cool. Right. So here is the vagus nerve. As you can see, it looks very much like a tree with branches. And you also when you look at the dendrites in your brain, like the they also look like little trees inside of your brain as well. So let me just continue on. I'll leave that up. I'll leave that up for y'all. Let me blow it up a little bit so y'all can see that while I continue. Um, so about the 2.5 days is the amount of time that Jesus was in the tomb before resurrecting. Increase in power, Jesus, Holy Spirit, Ghost, Spirit, every everywhere. Amount of time the moon spends in each sun sign. The first day is when the Christ oil secretes. This happens 12 times a year. The optic thalamus is 2.5 centimeters across. The optic thalamus is also known as the throne of God. Let me show y'all some pictures of the optic thalamus. I think I actually need to go backwards. I think I passed it going back this way. Right. So the optic thalamus is also known as the throne of God. I wish I had a picture to compare. But as you can see right here, basically you can see the seat or you can see the throne right there in the middle. I mean, this is pretty much the throne of God, known as the optic thalamus. So optic thalamus, one of a pair of ovoid masses of gray substance that serves as a relay station for the sensory stimuli to the cerebral cortex. It contains the lateral or geniculate body, which is a continuation of the pulvinar and which is situated at the posterior end of the thalamus. So that resurrection after 2.5 days, the oil ascends to the pons. The pons is besides the medulla oblongata. The pons is a major structure in the upper part of your brainstem that crosses the spinal cord. It is involved in the control of breathing, communication between different parts of the brain, and sensations such as hearing, taste, and balance. The pons means bridge in Latin, and the pons bridge raises. Gosh, is it really dark in here? It is. Um, Hold on, y'all. Let me cut this. A little bit better. Drink a little bit of water. All right. Um, so you just start from this. The resurrection. After 2.5 days, the oil ascends to the pons. The pons is beside the medulla oblongata. The pons is a major structure in the upper part of your brainstem that crosses the spinal cord. It is involved in the control of breathing, communication between the different parts of the brain, And the sensations such as hearing, taste, and balance, pons means bridge in Latin. So the pons bridge raises the preserved, refined, and transmuted oil into the optic thalamus when the new blood is produced and dormant brain cells are reactivated and awakened. So, like I said before, the pons is the part of the brainstem that links the medulla oblongata and the thalamus. And I do have a picture of the pons for y'all. Get that pons up here. Now I think about it, the word pons sort of sounds like pawns. Pawns. There we go. The pons, as you can see, looks like a bridge. It's basically like a bridge. You can see right here between the optic thalamus and the medulla oblongata. Um, so when we talk about preserving the seed so that we don't destroy the seed, what are some ways we can preserve the seed? The number one way is to just especially during that time, try not to overeat. Try to be as healthy as possible. Um, which you should be doing all the time anyway. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes we have our sweets. We have we overeat. We do those things. Like I know I do. I mean, especially if I get something good that I really like to eat. Sometimes I'll eat a lot of it, so it happens. But I would like to make sure that during this time that I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Number two, don't be lustful or like try to abstain from sex around that time. Like nobody's even saying that you gotta just you don't have to have sex, but around this time, it would be beneficial for you. Um, Number three, like don't be greedy. Number four, avoid laziness. Like try to keep yourself active during that time. Um, Try to avoid being angry or getting angry all the time. Try to avoid being jealous or selfish. And then lastly, avoid pride or boasting. So like all of these things can lessen the quality of that seed. So like you things that can make this seed better or make this process better for you is good practices, you know, like eating well, meditation, good breathing, good habits, right living, like all that good stuff. I'm saying to help preserve the seed. So they crossed the 33 vertebrae of the spinal column because Christ is crucified at 33 years of age. His ministry starts at 30 and ends at 33. That 33 has to do with these 33 vertebrae in the spinal column. So that oil arrives at the optic thalamus, which is, of course, that egg-shaped organ in the middle of the head. Just get you a picture of that optic thalamus. So I'm kind of like repeating myself over and over, but just so you guys can get the point. This is the optic thalamus. As you can see, it resembles an egg. Looks like an egg inside of the head. And what do you normally keep inside of an egg? Like a baby or a seed. So the crucifixion happens when it crosses the pneumogastric nerve back into the cerebellum, where it's refined 1,000-fold. So it then touches the optic thalamus and remains as dead, and then reaches the pineal gland after 2.5 days, and pretty much gets rid of the optic thalamus. I mean, it illuminates. I'm sorry, it gets rid, not eliminate. It illuminates the optic thalamus and the pineal gland. I said eliminate. Gosh, what am I talking about? Right. All right. Cool. So we can see this um, in similarly in Egypt, like all the Egyptians knew about this. Like a lot of stuff I'm talking about right now is pretty much post Egypt. But like they've been knew this. This is why they made ascension chambers and stuff, like just for this process. Let me pull you up a picture of the Eye of Horus. I actually got a couple pictures of it relating to Egypt. I didn't get a lot because guys, like this kind of took me like all day. Keep it real, it took me pretty much all day to the point where I was like, oh man, I gotta uh, do this a little differently. Um, so yeah, right here you can see the similarities between the Eye of Horus and or the thalamus and the third eye. So pretty much you can relate all of this stuff to the body. I mean, everything can relate back to the body. Right here, you see the pineal gland and pituitary gland. I mean, same here. You see the pituitary gland, pineal gland. All right. So of course, the ancients knew of this oil and its differentiation in the and its rising. Let me show you guys another picture, which I thought was very interesting. As you can see here, you can see the same references here as far as here is the optic thalamus being referred to as the king's chamber. You know what I'm saying? And having the belt of Orion, the star system, I star Isis being the door or the queen's chamber. So you got the king and the queen, same thing, Mary and Joseph. You got these same references here. I mean, this is definitely way more uh, accurate. I'm sorry, detailed. So, like, let me just read this. So, when one dreams, one consciousness naturally shifts to the back of the head. There is more so the case when one has a lucid dream. One's reptilian brainstem or a particular activating formation determines the depth of one's quantum realm dreams. It is via one's lucid dreams one can contact another form of intelligence, which the ancient Egyptians considered to be associated with Sirius. In essence, one's lucid dreams are one's personal stargate. I mean, so like this wasn't necessarily about that path of the CSF fluid, but I just thought this was interesting because of the relation between the different parts of the brain and the names, the Queen's Chamber, the King Chamber, the door actually being the optic thalamus down here. I mean, and it being related to the Sirius star system. I mean, the lucid dreaming shift, the pineal gland, or also referred to as the phantom. I'm sorry, the door is actually referred to as the phantom, which is the pineal gland. Forgive me, y'all. And the queen's chamber is referred to as Isis. The king's chamber is referred to as Osiris. Um, hmm. I'm definitely going to have to come back and break this one down for sure. I don't want to get stuck here, y'all. Like I'm really trying to like just I'm gonna keep it moving, y'all, because I could sit here forever. So millions of brain cells that were once dormant are awakened. So like I said before, overeating, alcohol, especially alcohol pretty much killed the seed. Sex practice at the wrong time, like I said, nothing's wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Just know when to practice it. Can lead to the death of this seed. This is also what is known as eating from the tree of life and death. The ancients knew that death could result from the leaking of this oil or too much leaking of it. So the head was known as the heavens, the middle was known as the solar plexus or the Midgard, Sodom and Gomorrah or Egypt was known as the world, or like the lower levels, according to the Bible. You know what I'm saying? But in Norse mythology, you can kind of see this relation too. That's why I had that one picture of the different parts of um, the body that was talking about. Now, this isn't necessarily, you won't see the body in here, but you'll see the three parts right here. Norse mythology. Asgard being the top, Midgard being right here, and then Gosh, I can't get that name right. Nifil. So anyway, that pineal is a cone shape and secretes a yellow or golden fluid. The pituitary body, opposite, it is ellipsoid in shape and contains a whiter secretion like milk. So I'm just touching again on that whole idea of milk and honey. The precious fluid which flows down from the colostrum separates, part going into the pineal gland and part to the pituitary body, and these being special laboratories of the head differentiate the fluid from the colostrum, and it takes on the colors above mentioned, and in the pineal gland becomes yellow and has electric properties. So the pituitary body, having the milk-like fluid, has magnetic properties. So these two glands are the male and the female, the Joseph and the Mary, the physical body, and are the parents of the spiritual son born in the solar plexus, and each human being commencing at about the age of 12. So this yellow and white material, which is the milk and honey referred to in the Bible, the children of Israel having been given the promise of the return to this land, flowing with milk and honey, and at last reaches the solar plexus via the semilunar ganglia, and Bethlehem of the physical body. In the Hebrew, Bethlehem means house. Beth of the bread, Lahan, or house of bread. I'm the bread of life, says the allegorical Jesus. This is important because you can physiologically regenerate yourself. This is how the ancients lived for so long. The ancients knew of this. And there is the Egyptians who lived of hundreds of years, and they achieved the state of enlightenment. They even built the pyramids, not as just tombs, but these were ascension chambers. The internal layouts create an intensified light energy at the head and remove all the stimuli from the user so that they can meditate and purify their body and soul in the preparations for ascension. So once you purify or distill, as it is called in alchemy, this oil and raise it up to 33 vertebrae of the spine, it then crosses again at the vagus nerve where it is crucified. To crucify means to multiply 1,000-fold. The oil is magnified 1,000-fold and enters the cerebellum or Golgotha. So from here, it goes to the optic thalamus, an egg-shaped organ in the brain where it lays dead for 3 days, just like the Bible where Christ is crucified and dies for 3 days. The oil is then resurrected and sent into the pineal gland, which begins a process that creates a light. It illuminates the optic thalamus and the pineal gland or the third eye, which starts a process of creating new blood and activating dormant brain cells. I mean, basically, yeah, like you ever see those how those enlightened beings be having like the halos around their head, like that's pretty much like that enlightenment. I'm saying so. The two most famous ascension chambers are the Ark of the Covenant, mentioned in the Bible, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. In both cases, humans who were not sufficiently purified attempted to enter the chambers, and their bodies were burned up instead of transfigured. And of course, there's a bunch of Bible scriptures that allude to this process. I'm only going to talk about a few because I could be here for another probably like half hour. So again, Jesus spoke to them saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. The light of life is referring to the optic thalamus. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore the eye be single, thy whole body be full with light. This is, of course, referring to the third eye. Christ himself says, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. So the whole point is for us to get out of those bottom chakras, or I wouldn't say necessarily just get out of them. I would say definitely rise out of the bottom chakras into the top chakras, and that way you have a whole integrated system. Like you can't do away with the bottom chakras, but you have to balance them have to balance all the chakras. And even me, like as I was studying the bottom chakras, I realized that I have some imbalances myself. So like we all in this together, man. I got some work to do myself on this. But so like the last thing I'm just gonna show it's just a few pictures of some more relations between the body and just the ancient text. So man, we're going on what, an hour? Sheesh, the hour flew by, yo. It flew by. I didn't even know I was talking for that long. All right, so let me see. Right, so right here you can see the Egyptian scarab and the human skull. You can see how the scarab pretty much represents like a skull. You can see the two halves. You can see the two serpents. Same right here. You can see the wings. That's the two parts of the brain, and right here in the middle, I'm saying you got the mid part of the brain, and then right there you got pretty much where the magic is happening at. And then what is it? Last right, and here it talks about Jacob's ladder. Um, Jacob's ladder, the rebirth as your cerebral spinal fluid. Christ climbs your 33 vertebrae, or Jacob's ladder, as you can see right here. And meets your 12 cranial nerves. 12 cranial nerves representing those 12 disciples. I mean, remember, it was Jesus and his 12 disciples. That represents your 12 cranial nerves. It ignites the pineal gland, which is basically your resurrection. I mean, so like that whole Jacob wrestling with the angels, that's pretty much your two energies wrestling. That's you wrestling with your lower nature and work your way up the mountain, up the 33 vertebrae to pineal. Um, and then just this is basically the mercy seat, also known as the temple. So like you can see the cherubims upon the mercy seat. So like you see the cherubims with their two wings. Same right here. The cherubims with the wings. The mercy seat being right there in the middle. So basically, the Bible is talking about the body, and the body is the Bible. So like when you relate everything that the Bible is talking about to the actual body, um, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. Now, definitely take out the meat, spit out the bones. Whatever you don't agree with, you don't agree with. Whatever you do, you do. I mean, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter to me. Like I kind of really had to take that approach that it doesn't really matter what other people believe. Like I'm just sharing what I believe, and even like to be honest with y'all, I didn't even find proof for everything. Like some of the stuff, I just kind of had to ask spirit, like yo, like there's information contrary to what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Like what's here. And spirit was just like, yeah, but you know, you know what's real for you. Anyway, I don't know about everybody else, but you know what's real for you. So go with whatever you feel like is good for you. So like I went with it. You know what I mean? So anyway, is that it? Is that all I got for y'all? That's all I got for y'all. Um Actually I got one more picture in here. I don't know if I saved it though. One more picture. I don't think I saved it though. Yeah, I don't think this picture is in here. If it's not, I'm just gonna end this here. And if y'all want to apply this, like because I'm all about stuff that's practical. If you want to apply this, I'm gonna put the Moon Tracks website inside of the description box, and you can click on that link, and you can see when your sun sign um when the moon is ingressing in your sun sign every month, and that first day is when the oil secretes. And then if you can refrain from those things I talked about, and and do some of the things I talked about in those 2.5 days, you can experience this thousandfold of that seed. Now, me, what I've been doing is I haven't been, you know, participating in any sexual activity at all. So pretty much, I've been getting these thousandfolds for the last 3 months, or maybe even more, because of the certain times where I either was or wasn't having sex. But I can't really say about that before, because I was pretty sexually active. But so like now that I'm like not really like by choice, like by choice. I don't, it's not even nothing to mention that. But let me stick to what I'm talking about. And I'm not. I'm actually. I kind of. I think I'm. I'm going to set a new goal for myself, and that's to go to a whole year with these 10 folds. So that's, or 1,000 folds. So that's pretty much 12,000. That would be 12,000 increases, or 12,000 regenerations. Like, and to see what that will do to my psychological and physiological self, like, I'm curious. Like, I want to see. Now, I'm gonna keep it real, so that may not happen. Like, man, I mean, I got a couple people I'm feeling. You know what I mean, and it's like, I mean, I'm not really pursuing it. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, I ain't really, like, right now. I really want to work on myself. Really want to get myself together. But like, especially if these particular individuals, if they approach me, like, they getting this work. I'm telling you right now, they getting this work. You know what I mean? But from what I've seen, it don't look like they making no moves, and I'm not making no moves. So like, it don't really look like that gonna happen. So, in the meanwhile, be continue to save my seed and see it through 1,000-fold every month. I mean, so look out in the description box for this the site. I'm pretty sure everybody here already knows what their sign is. Now there was something else I was kind of wondering about, between, because you got Vedic astrology, and then you got like the Western, or the I'm sorry, I forget the proper words, but it's like tropical and something else. I don't know. So like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going with the regular astrology that I'm familiar with, because like, I even think it has something to do with your mindset too, and like maybe which one you're kind of programmed with already. You know what I mean? But so I don't want to make it complicated. You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna go with the basic. I mean, you can go on the site, see when your sun sign is, um, refrain from those things that I talked about around that time frame. Make sure you meditate, eating right, drinking plenty of water around that time, and let me know about your results from applying this. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I may share my results, but like, I guess because I've just pretty much made a decision to abstain. Period. Like, I can't really be. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell like what exactly I'm doing that's causing the results, because I'm constantly doing something different to raise my vibration. So like, it could be a shadow work. Oh, I got the book, y'all, too. I got the book. It came in the mail like 2 days ago. The King, the Warrior, the Lover, and the Magician. And like, reading through it so far, it looks like it's going to be a good one. It talks about um, the initiation from boyhood to manhood that we're missing in this society. And I will be honest, it is mainly centered around men and masculinity. I didn't really, I'm very early in the book. I didn't see a lot about anything about women, but I'm pretty sure women have an initiation just like us men do. You know what I mean? But it's probably definitely different because man, talk about initiation, guys getting thrown in ant pits and dang near dying, and coming and being recovered by like the chiefs, and you know, wiping the dead skin and the dirt off and going kind of like you're a man now. Like it seems like the men have to go through some sort of painful experience before they actually, followed up with some sort of drug. Oh, it's an interesting book, man. But yeah, so I'm gonna go through it. I'm looking forward to the actual uh applicable parts of it. I'm all about practicality. I got to be able to apply something from it, and then I'll apply those to my shadow work. But definitely got to get a little bit more organized with my time, guys. So I may speed up on videos. I may slow down. I don't know. As you can see, this one was really long. Took me a long time to prepare for. So I got to do a little bit better with managing my time. So I ain't gonna get too much into this. I ain't gonna waste no more of your time. The description box, I'll put the link. You pretty much know your sun sign. If you don't, just go look it up. What's my sun sign? Put in your birthday or something. Um, See the day that the ingress will start in your sign, and that is the day you want to start on. And then you want to end 2.5 to 3 days later. Um, and by end, I mean like I don't know. Say you plan on having sex the day before that, and then the day after. I'm just talking about something extreme. I would suggest just like avoiding it around that entire time. But if that's how you're doing it, like just know it's gonna take about 3 days, for it to happen. Um, and yeah, that's it. Y'all have any questions, comments, concerns? Drop them in the comment box. If you like this video, hit like. If you share this video if you feel like it'll be helpful for someone else, and subscribe to my channel for more videos on. I really feel like I'm going in the direction of esoteric knowledge, because like I kind of got a passion for this stuff. All right, y'all. This is Dana Pope, Junior Master Executive 8, and I am